Quazi here. There's a man, a very few people know his name, but he's had a profound impact in uncovering the secrets of the universe. His name is Sylvester James Gates Jr. Now, Gates Jr. is one of the leading members in the study of supersymmetry and theoretical physics, and was the scientific advisor to Obama himself. I want to draw your attention to a specific study that he conducted. In this study, he set out to discover what the true nature of this space is that we actually exist in. What does it consist of? How is it made? Could there be answers in this study that could reveal the secrets of the universe? He and his team of quantum physicists started on this journey of discovering what this ether is that we actually exist in. And what he found was truly fascinating. Now, he found that our universe operates on something called Adinkra codes. To the normal person, these Adinkra codes look like simple patterns that hold no significance whatsoever. But to Gates, he discovered that these Adinkra codes were in fact mathematical symbols. What's even more interesting is that these Adinkra codes can be traced back to the ancient Dogon tribe in Mali, Africa. But here's what very few people knew about this tribe. It is said that this Dogon tribe, who supposedly originated from ancient Egypt, had access to information about the solar system that could only be proved to be correct with highly powered telescopes, leaving scientists baffled as to how this ancient tribe had access to this kind of knowledge in the first place. But what Gates found out is that when you take these codes, these Adinkra codes, and place them in the third dimension, they create sophisticated mathematical codes that depict something called error correcting codes. If you're unsure about what error correcting codes are, they're what websites run on. This means that the ether that we exist in runs on software that we're unable to see, meaning you're like a Wi-Fi signal tuning into all of these frequencies around you. And once you become aware of this software around you, you then have the ability to change, program, and reprogram your whole reality. But here's the problem. The vast majority of people don't even know that this exists. And even if they do, they're unsure of how to break out of the toxic cycles they find themselves in, instead of being true creators of their own reality. Now, one of the simplest and easiest ways to begin understanding this entire process to becoming a creator starts with understanding this cycle of reprogramming. Now, I know this might seem pretty confusing, but over the last 7 years, I've been on the journey to mastering the art of reprogramming my mind for success in the external world. And learning how to tap into this consciousness took me from selling my soul to a large corporation and potentially spending 40 years of my life doing something that I hated, to starting my own business that I'm super passionate about, doing it every single day and actually growing it to 7 figures, making $1 million years, which unlocked true freedom in my life. So in today's video, I'm gonna share with you how you can tap into this consciousness of wealth, the very thing that I believe made the difference for me, how you can receive those frequencies for yourself. Now, to truly tap into wealth consciousness, you need to master 3 main aspects that every single wealthy person I've ever met has done successfully. Once you're able to do this, you'll see how money begins to flow into your life with ease, and you're no longer unconsciously resisting it or unconsciously being closed off to it like I was for a very long time. This was truly the key for me, and I'm super excited to share this with you. So without further delay, let's jump right into it. So to begin with, let's talk about what it means to be in wealth consciousness, what it means to have money consciousness. So I want you to take a minute right now and think about a definition. What does being in wealth consciousness mean to you? How do you define it? Also, I want you to define a goal. If you were to have the wealth consciousness that you're looking for, what is the goal, the financial goal that you would be able to achieve? So for example, this could be a monthly income goal that you have, whatever you deem appropriate for your individual circumstance. So for what you want, I just want you to take a minute right now and write that down. That's going to be very, very important for us to do these exercises moving forward. So take a minute, pause this video, write that down, and when you're ready, let's move forward. To me, what it means to be in wealth consciousness It's very simple. If you think about consciousness, consciousness is in a field. It's a field, okay? In a field, there is flow. So like a magnetic field, there is a particular flow. In a gravitational field, there is a particular flow. Gravity kind of pulls everything down. The flow is downwards. Just like that, if we were to enter a particular consciousness, a wealth consciousness, there is a particular flow of wealth. What is this flow of wealth? How can we attune ourselves to this flow of wealth? Now we're getting somewhere. In order to attune yourself to this flow of wealth, you must become open to receiving this wealth and open to letting this wealth flow out of you. In order to be receptive to any flow, there has to be an input and an output. You have to become transparent. Openness. That's the most important part. So becoming open to receiving and giving money and wealth is the number one prerequisite that will lead you to stepping into wealth consciousness. This is the same with anything. Whatever field of life you enter, if you simply think about it as openness, I just need to be open in order to receive this energy. Being open also means maybe sometimes first giving. What can I give? And the very thing that you give, you will receive. You don't even have to worry about that. So now we're going to talk about the three main aspects that you need to properly understand in order to enter this wealth consciousness. The first and foremost thing that helped me get out of my situation that I was in was understanding the nature and power of beliefs. And in this, there's two different natures that we're going to talk about. Number two, the most important part, I believe, is learning the principles of investing. Now, I'm not talking like literal principles of investing money, but you'll see what I mean. Because if you understand this, you're going to master this flow. You're going to be transparent. And finally, we're going to talk about consolidating this. So this becomes sort of like a way of life, a way of living. You no longer have to battle to hold on to your beliefs. They become natural to you. And this we do via confirmation. And this is what I did in my journey that allowed me to go into an abundance mindset from being extremely scarce. I believe these are the three main things that's going to make the biggest difference for you. So with that, let's get started with number one, beliefs. What I want you to do right now is go back to that piece of paper where you wrote wealth consciousness and your money goal in. And what I want you to do is make two columns. On the left-hand side, write current beliefs. On the right-hand side, write desired beliefs. So what we're going to do here is an exercise that I did about 4 or 5 years ago when I got started off in this journey and I was about to go into that corporate career and become a corporate slave for the next 40 years and kind of sell my soul and do something that I'm not passionate about for a minimum wage and health benefits. When I got started in that, I was like, shit, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. What do I do instead? Well, I want to make online money like all of my friends were doing at the time. Then I wrote down my goal, which was I would like to make 20K a month, because then I believed 20K a month was all that I needed to live the life that I wanted to live. Then all of these limiting beliefs came up. Like, what if I can't do it? What if people won't buy my services? What if, people didn't want to pay me online? Like, it's so hard to do it. 99% of businesses fail. All of these limiting beliefs came up. So what I want you to do right now, pause this video, go and write 3 top limiting beliefs or current beliefs that you have that you feel are blocking you from getting to that monetary goal that you want to get to. So pause this video right now, write those down. And now what I want you to do is also write down 3 desired beliefs that you need to have in order to effortlessly make that income goal that you put down, if you did put one down. This is an exercise that can be used with any belief. We want to identify the current beliefs that are keeping us stuck and the desired beliefs that we need to have in order to effortlessly accomplish that. Simply having an awareness on this will make the biggest shift for you, because in awareness, everything, all your problems get solved by itself. It's kind of like that subconscious mind. If I ask you to, let's say, throw this pen in a bucket, right? If I were to throw it in that bucket right in front of me, I'm not going to think about every single body movement that's going to be required of me to put it in the bucket. I'm not going to think about how my arm is positioned. I'm not going to think about the biomechanics, right? I'm simply focusing on my target. I have an awareness of it, and I simply just let it go. There is a flow. There is a natural, an ease to this movement. It happens subconsciously. Thousands of years of evolution has brought us here where we can make those micro calculations and move ourselves through this space. So just like that, when you have an awareness of where you are and where you want to go, the gap is bridged by the light of this awareness. Write those down and simply every single day become aware of the conversations that you're having. So one of the main things that I remember in my life was the limiting conversations I was having with myself around money and wealth. I would always tell myself, oh, I can't afford this. I can't do that because I don't have the money for it. And then I started to realize those were fueling my current limiting beliefs around money. It was stacking the chips on one side. The scale was stronger on that current side rather than the desired side. So instead, I started asking myself questions, open-ended questions, such as, how can I afford this? Do I even want to afford this? If I had all the money in the world, would I want to buy this? Because sometimes you think about nice things and you're like, I want that, but do you really want it? If you had the money, would you buy it? Because sometimes even if you had infinite money, you wouldn't buy it, because it would be a lot more headache for you to maintain and take care of. I wanted to buy a really expensive car, but then the more I think about it, I'm like, oh, then I have to worry about another possession. My possessions will start owning me. So why not just have like a decent car that you feel good about when you're in and you can appreciate, and it's not out of the world expensive. That's one of the realizations that I came to myself. But again, your goal could be to have a Ferrari, and that's completely fine. You love cars and that's you, that's great. Write these down. And every single day, gain an awareness of the conversations that you're having, the subconscious conversations that are coming up. Because when we can consciously watch the subconscious, then we gain control over our destinies. Unless the unconscious can be conscious, you will always suffer and you will always call it fate. Okay, so now it's our job to bring those unconscious conversations and dissolve it in the light of our own awareness, our conscious awareness. Okay, that's number one, the first and foremost way of dealing with it. The other way that I dealt with it is through taking action. So I want you to take a minute and reflect on limiting beliefs that you've had about something in the past, and beliefs that you knew you needed to have to accomplish something. Maybe this might be, a test that you failed and you retook an exam, and the first time you failed, you thought you could never do it, or it could be something that you're totally afraid of. Chances are, you got yourself over the edge and got to your desired belief and achieved what you wanted to achieve through taking action. You simply had to override your fears through taking massive action, and that's exactly what happened. You confronted your fears by acting, and as a result, you moved to the other side of the fear, which is success. So in this case, it's very similar. If I have a current belief of, oh, I don't know how I'm going to make money online, and a desired belief of I'm knowledgeable and I'm certain that I can make 20K a month, right? Let's say that's an example of the beliefs that you have. Look for an action condition that would bridge the gap. So for example, if I study online marketing, if I go through this program, if I surround myself, or if I make videos consistently, if I make great products, then I will be able to make that 20K a month. Do you see how that's working? That's what I did. Give yourself an action condition. If-then statements. So for every single one of these limiting beliefs that you put down an action condition that allows you to kind of feel that, hey, the goal is within reach if I were to do this. Take a minute right now and do this. I can't stress to you how powerful this exercise is, and I want you to keep the sheet handy somewhere, because I used to look at mine every single day, and the more I looked at my desired beliefs, the more I felt about that 20K a month, and I kept visualizing and I kept familiarizing myself, because the reason you're not achieving that goal right now is because it's not familiar, it's uncharted terrain, it feels uncomfortable, it feels different. That's where this resistance comes. The more you visualize it, the more you immerse yourself in that world, the more it becomes second nature. The more you talk about it, the more you think about it, the more you feel it every single day, it's going to become second nature to you. And if you look at a lot of these successful people, what do? Like, I was listening to a podcast with Mr. Beast, and he was like, when I had like 300,000 subscribers, I saw myself having 1 million subscribers so much that when I hit 1 million subscribers, it wasn't surprising, because in my mind, I had already had 1 million subscribers. In my mind, I already had 10 million subscribers. So when I hit those numbers, it wasn't that big of a deal. That's what goal achievement should be like. You've made it so real internally that externally, when it happens, it's not such a big deal. So do that right now. Now what we're going to do is talk about a concept called conscious investing. And I believe this is going to be a game changer for you. So let's get right to that. One of the most important aspects of making wealth and making money for me was learning this concept of conscious investing. And simply put, what I realized was in my life, I was always afraid of money. When I was very, very young and I didn't have any limiting beliefs and the world was my oyster, I would always tell my parents, like, I would make the most money. I would become a CEO of a big company, or I would reach the top of the ladder of anything. Because I was a kid, I just wanted to, be the best and the highest in every single field. And my parents would always say, wow, that's great. It's amazing that, that's what you want to do. And then when I got to a certain age, when I was plagued by all of these limiting beliefs and I got bullied, I kind of felt small. And then I realized, okay, making money is difficult, so I shouldn't aim for making a lot of money, and, people who are wealthy are evil. And that's what I learned from society, from looking all around me. I learned that from religion too, the Bible says that, rich can't go to heaven. And then I started watching movies and TV and saw that the rich were being portrayed as evil. And I was like, I'm just going to be a humble scientist, and I'm going to be the greatest scientist ever, and I'm going to, not make a lot of money, and that's okay. And that's what I told myself, because I was afraid to put myself out there and confront my fears head on. And I told myself this story for a very, very long time, until I got into personal development and I started to meditate and I started to look at, hey, what do I really want? This is what I really want, and I have to go out there and get it. Learning this conscious investing aspect really taught me to change my relationship to money, okay? So I ask you right now, when you think about money, how do you relate to money? What is your relationship to money? What's one word that you can describe your feeling towards money? Do you hate money or do you love money? And when you love money, does it make you feel guilty because of things that you've heard? Or does it make you feel good? When I started to properly understand this, I started to realize the love for money isn't evil. The lust for it may be. Love as a feeling cannot be evil. It is the greatest good there is. But when you lust for things, when it's obsessive, it's compulsive, it runs your world, then it can become evil. As long as you don't let it run you, you're in control of it. It's no longer evil. Let's talk about this relationship with money and how you can change it. Because once you learn to do this, guess what happens? Money flows into your life. The first and foremost thing is spending with intent. When I started to spend money, I started to become very, very conscious of the ways in which I was spending money. I would look at the things I was buying in daily life and ask myself, is this the thing that I really want to spend money on? Because it's so easy to spend mindlessly. So instead of spending mindlessly, I started to spend money mindfully. And this doesn't mean you don't spend at all, but you just realize the transaction that's happened and the intent that you had behind that transaction. And I can promise you, if you start to do this, if you start to become more conscious, just at that moment where you make the transaction and you make the decision to purchase something, the fact that you're letting this flow out, something much greater is coming your way. I used to tell myself, and I still do, that this money that I'm spending will come back to me tenfold. The fact that this became my worldview is exactly what started to become true. To give you an example of this, recently I invested in a mastermind and I spent around $50,000 on it to grow our infrastructure, to grow a sales team, and to just make better products and have better marketing. And so before I spent that, I kind of made a wish. It's like the intent is a wish. I prayed and I intended that this money that I'm spending is for a good cause, it's for good, and it's going to come back tenfold. A lot of people invest from a place of fear. They spend money from a place of fear. They're fearful and they make a decision to buy something and then they spend it in regret. I never do that anymore. I used to, back in that old scarcity mindset that I was in. But now when I spend, I make a firm commitment to spending, and I realize that, hey, somehow, in some way, this money is going to come back to me in tenfold. And I do this with every single purchase that I make. Purchasing, spending money with intent. This directly goes back to that concept of the flow of wealth. Because when I'm giving and I'm opening myself up to receiving, you start to receive. In that way, all of the purchases, all of the investments that I made may not have had a direct ROI in the grand scheme of things. I believe it had an indirect impact. Because guess what? You came into this world with nothing. Right? You have all of this now for a period of time, and then you leave with nothing. Still net positive up until the minute you leave. That's what I learned about conscious investing and about my relationship with money. And I believe if you start to make this a habit, every time you spend money, spend it mindfully and realize that it will come back to you one way or another. And when you do that, that becomes your reality. So now, the final portion of this is to ground all of this that we've learned into reality and make it a part of our lives so that you don't have all of these limiting beliefs that's stopping you from getting to that goal that you had to get to or you wanted to get to, like I did with that 20K month. So let's get right to confirmations. I believe finding confirmations is one of the most important aspects to this. I know I say that a lot, but out of all of the clients that I've worked with, out of all of the people that I've coached throughout the past 5 years, everyone always speaks of confirmation. Why? Because it's easy to tell yourself something, but when you see it, you believe it. Seeing is 80% of it. And if you can see something happening in real life, it's much easier to enter into a new field, that belief field that you want to step into. And this is where confirmation comes in. Looking for confirmation is simply looking for evidence. So let's pick out one of those desired beliefs that you had. Money flows into my life with ease and I'm effortlessly making 20K a month. That was one of mine. Every time I would make a YouTube video that got a lot of views, I would confirm to myself, this is how the 20K a month is coming. See, it's happening. Every time I got a sale or a potential prospective client inquiring about working closer with me, look, money is coming. I'm getting towards that 20K a month. Even when I didn't get to the 20K a month, I would use that to confirm to myself. It's kind of like you're giving yourself a mental pat on the back in line with that desired belief that you've put in. And this can be done with anything, right? Like you had a fitness goal and you step on the scale and you see that you've lost like half a pound. See, I'm getting towards that goal that I wanted to get to. It's happening. It's really happening. It's true. It's real. It's coming to life. That's the best way you can just take something that was all up in the air in your head and ground it in your reality. And it doesn't matter how little the sign towards progress is. It is a sign, it is a confirmation, and it corresponds to that frequency. Now, the intensity of that frequency might not be as strong because you didn't directly achieve that 20K a month, right? If achieving that 20K a month is the strongest frequency of you having the belief of doing 20K a month, then everything else is still the same frequency with a lower intensity. Does that make sense? We're building up those little confirmations until we get that intense moment of, I've finally done that 20K a month. And that's what happened for me 1 year, 1 month after I made the intention to get to 20K a month. And I know for a fact if you make the intention and you look for little confirmations of how you're moving towards that goal every single day, that's exactly what will happen. Every single day you have to realize that every little thing that's happening is leading you to that. It's corresponding to that frequency of you getting to that monetary goal you want to get to. An example of this I can give you is the one I just did with 20K a month, but one of our clients, Edward, recently, who joined our Reality Creator Academy, he didn't know where to go and he just knew he wanted to gain freedom and make money, a venture that's not a 9-to-5. And he joined us, got the idea, he gained clarity on what he wanted to do with trading. And so he got into trading. Within the first couple of weeks, he had an hour where he made $1,000 in trading in profit. That was a huge confirmation for him that the 20K a month, the 25K a month that he wanted to get to, it's within reach. So the screenshot I've put up right here, you can see what Edward said himself. This is the power of confirmation. If you diligently use this every single day, you look for one confirmation. Like what you can really do to make the best use of it is use it throughout the day, but make sure you keep like a confirmation journal, a little bite-sized journal where you put down one confirmation before you go to bed of something that happened today that corresponded to you moving towards that goal. And that's what I did. Okay, so what I want you to do right now, I've made a video on the quantum law, going very, very in-depth on the nature of our attention so you can direct it in that direction you want to move and so effortlessly achieve the goal that you want to achieve. I've put the video, it's pinned right here. You can click here. It's gotten over 850,000 hits as of making this video right now, and a lot of people are gaining a lot of benefit from it. So click here right now and go watch that, and I sincerely hope that's valuable to you. So I'll see you in this next video right now. Thanks.